Well, welcome to another episode of JC Unplugged, and I'm always excited about my guests, but this one extra excited about. I got Gary Patterson. He's the president of Shelby American. Gary, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome, JC. It's always good to see you and your enthusiasm, and we've got a lot of great stuff going at Shelby now.
Oh my gosh, you guys have been very busy. I feel like over the past couple of years, things have gotten extra busy over the past year, and really wild over the past month. I want to get into all of that, but there's so much. You and I've done many TV segments before, but they've always been really quick. And I never have time to sit down and chat with you long form. So I have a bunch of questions to get to, and I want to start off. Maybe someone's really not involved in the car world, but they've heard of Carroll Shelby and of Shelby. If they're not familiar with Carroll Shelby, how would you explain to someone who Carroll Shelby is and what he has done for the automotive industry?
Well, Carroll Shelby, he was an icon in the business. I mean, he was really an innovator, and he was the first of many people to do what we're doing today. So, he took a car from a manufacturer, Ford Motor Company, and, initially did a car with AC who supplied a body and chassis. But basically, Carroll gutted that whole thing and started over outside of that and created a car that, we could go on for hours with this, but essentially beat Ferrari, with the Cobra. And the small block car went out there. They redesigned it to be more aerodynamic with Peter Brock, and they came out with the Daytona Coupe, and they eventually beat the Ferrari GTOs. He also helped Ford Motor Company, as many of you have seen the Ford versus Ferrari movie. Largely, that movie is very accurate. It was enhanced for Hollywood. You can pick it apart, but the overall storyline was very good. And Carroll Shelby was always also the only person in history to win at Le Mans overall as a driver, as a manufacturer, and as a team leader. So the only person in history to do all three. So, he was also very good in assembling a team of people. So, when you saw the movie Ford versus Ferrari, I think it's an easy thing to keep referencing back to, but, it wasn't just Henry Ford and Carroll Shelby. It was all the people behind the scenes that made those kind of things work and work well. So we never lose track of those kind of things. Not only as we talk about Carroll Shelby, but as we go forward with the company today, Carroll was very good at surrounding himself with people that were very good at what they did.
What was his connection to Las Vegas? How did Carroll Shelby arrive to Las Vegas? What was his connection to Las Vegas, and how did Shelby and Las Vegas come together?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, JC. I think that Nevada, Vegas in general, great place. It's a destination location. They were building the Las Vegas Motor Speedway at the time. That's been a couple decades ago, obviously, probably close to 3. But, he was good friends with Richie Klein at the time. And, we brought the operations here. We were the anchor tenants in the industrial park at the Speedway at one time. And Carroll always wanted operations at the Speedway. So we did those things. The tax basis is a lot better here than in other locations. So, I think there was a lot of advantages business-wise to being in Las Vegas. What we found over time, and as our business evolved, we went from being at the racetrack, which really worked out well for us at the time when we did the Shelby Series 1 and the beginning of the continuation Cobras, but to move a little closer to the airport and to the downtown area where people can visit easier. So, B2B, we still do a lot of business to business, but, B2C is kind of cool too. People can land here. Our building is south of Mandalay Bay. It's easily visible as people from California come into town on I-15. So that's kind of where we are and why we are right now.
Well, the Shelby Heritage Center, it's incredible inside there. It's part museum, it's part manufacturing. How would you describe the Heritage Center to someone? Because if you're a car enthusiast, even if you're not, it is a really cool thing to experience here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, JC, we've got a nice retail store, so you can buy everything from, posters to banners to, clothing and models and things like that. So that's great. We're right in the middle of basically reinventing the Heritage Center in the backside. So the cars will be the same and they continue to rotate. So you see everything from vintage cars from the very first of the Cobras clear through history with the Shelby Series 1 into some of the Mustangs that we've done more recently to present day. But not only the vehicles, but there's a whole, picture wall and things. And we're investing a bunch of money right now, and we're in process. All the cars are gone temporarily. They'll be back next week, but we're putting in a big video wall. And this thing is like 12 and a half feet by like 25 feet wide. It's huge. It's at the far end. Completely redid the flooring, the sound system. We're updating everything just this month. So this is really fabulous. And within the next month or two, this will all be completed. And I think that'll be great for having some events and things like that, as well as celebrating the history of Shelby.
Yeah, it's awesome inside. I was there, I think it was last month. I saw the new floors. You guys were telling me about all the designs that are taking place. I can't wait to see it when it's finished. Or your love and passion for cars. Do I have this story right? That your dad won a '65 Mustang from a radio station? Is that there's some truth to that, or where does that tale come from?
Well, that's actually, it's half true.
Okay,
so, JC, you're exactly right. In 1964. Okay. Summer of 64, a radio station in Chicago actually offered a 289 high performance 4-speed Mustang convertible as their grand prize. Somebody else won the car. That person wanted money, not the car. So they turned it back over to the dealership. My father paid $3,000 for a 289 Hypo 4-speed rally pack, convertible. And that was actually a car he bought brand new and had for nearly a decade and drove it in Michigan and Ohio, wintertime, summertime. We all had a great time with that car.
Wow. By the way, a radio station back in so was the Mustang a 64 and a half, or was it a 65 Mustang?
This was a generator car. So it was very early Hypo convertible. Very, very early hype.
Well, a radio station be giving that away as a prize is huge. But then the wherewithal of your father to step in and buy that car when the person took the money, I would have taken the car in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Dad's a very smart man.
Yeah, well, So
is that the one? Remember you telling me you have a Mustang in your collection that you've had for a very long time. So your dad sold that one. What Mustang do you have that you've had for quite some time?
Well, it's actually my first car. So when I was 16, I had mowed lawns and everything for a long time and had accumulated some money. And I bought a 69 Mustang Mach 1 used. With that money, I made mowing lawns and 428 Cobra Jet Shaker Hood 4-speed car. I bought it March 3rd, 1976. So when March 3rd comes around this year, I'll have owned that car 50 years.
Wow. And you still drive it, right?
I do. But for the first time since I've owned it, it is non-operational.
Were you having something done to it, or?
Yeah. So in October, I took it over to a good friend of mine in Shelby licensee in Pennsylvania, legendary GT cars, and we're taking it all apart, going through it, and it's going to get a little bit more. So that's going to be kind of fun.
Well, when it comes back, you don't want to come film it and spend some time with that car.
Well, it's got a little bit of a heart transplant, so the engine's great in the car now. I'll certainly put it aside. It's a numbers matching engine and transmission, but it's going to get a 496 cubic inch FE big block Shelby Engine Company engine, Anatronics T56 Magnum in it. So that'll be as part of it, and some 4-wheel disc brakes and things like that. So I'm going to make this thing a fun car, but it'll still look the same as it always did. Same color, shaker hood, 4-speed, 6-speed now, but it'll manual transmission either way. So anyway.
That beats my first car was a 1984 Pontiac Fiero. That was my...
Okay, well, kind of looked like a Ferrari.
Have you ever seen a Pontiac Mera?
I don't recall what those were.
So the Pontiac Mera was, you would go to your Pontiac dealership and you would buy a 1987 Pontiac Fiero GT, and then they would send it off to Corporate Concepts, and they would tear the body off, and put the fiberglass body, a new fiberglass body on top of the car to look like a Ferrari 308. And then they would, when it's done, send it back to the dealership and you would take over that car. It was called the Pontiac Mara. Had these Mara badges on it. They were the same size as the Ferrari 308 badges. They made 247 of them until Ferrari stepped in and said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And so they had to stop production of these Pontiac Maras. But there's 247 of them still out there today.
And you don't have one?
On my show, there's a guy in town that has one. So I did an
Really?
episode on one a couple weeks ago, and it's wild. You walk up to it, it looks like a Ferrari 308, the Magnum PI Ferrari. And you walk up, you're like, oh my gosh. And then you open it up, you're like, oh no, this is a Fiero. It's crazy.
Yep. Neat stuff.
Well, your journey. So how did you end up working with Shelby, working with Carroll Shelby? What was your life journey that took you to be part of Shelby?
Well, as we kind of talked earlier, I've been an enthusiast since I was a kid. And my father always had something high performance in the garage. So, in fact, the 64.5 Hypo convertible was the first car I ever drove. Manual transmission, and I was 14 years old, and he took me to a large parking lot, and I got to drive that car for the first time. So that was pretty cool. But really, when I was younger, because I refused to grow up, I'd go to family get-togethers and somebody always had something cool in performance. I had uncles that had everything from, Pontiac GTOs to 427 Corvettes to, souped up 57 Chevy or something like that. So there was always black marks outside of my grandparents out on the farm in Ohio. So a lot of fun went on. So that kind of is how the whole thing started.
Yeah.
I always did that as a hobby. I went to college and I did the normal business thing and helped with retail distribution centers, but I never forgot my love for the cars. And obviously I always had the 69. So I was president of the Mustang Club of Las Vegas. I was vice president of the Corvette Club back in Ohio. Did some stuff with both. So, I really ran the gamut of that whole thing. I was involved in open road racing when I first moved to Nevada. So the Silver State Classic Challenge, and I was involved with all that. One thing led to another, and I met the guy, Don Rager, at the time that Carroll had hired to begin operations in Las Vegas. We invited him to a club meeting in Las Vegas, the Mustang Club. I was president, Scott Black was vice president, and we just welcomed this guy. And a short time later, 2 weeks later, he was at the Silver State Classic Challenge that I was involved with. And so one thing led to another. My hobby turned into a job. So I started with Shelby over 29 years ago.
Oh, what a journey! What was it like? Because you obviously worked with Carroll Shelby for some time. What was it like working with Carroll Shelby? How was he like working with?
Yeah, JC, I was very honored and blessed to work with Carroll the last 16 years of his life. So we really got to know each other and know, kind of how each other thought and how Carroll Shelby operated, which is pretty cool. So, his life, his ambitions, what he's done, but, he was very, very much looking forward. He certainly wanted to celebrate the past, and we all love the past, and, we all know what went on there. And you can see some of that in the Heritage Center, the movie, obviously, those kind of things. But Carroll's favorite thing was always what was going on next. He was an innovator. He was always big on trying new things, trying new ideas. And you know what? Not everything worked, and that's okay. We always laughed here that I always said that, Carroll Shelby's had a hybrid since 1962. Every single vehicle, they burn gas and rubber. So we laugh about that. But Carroll, the truth is, Carroll also, we had a hydrogen-powered Cobra here for a while. He worked with the University of California and Jim Heffel, and they created one that actually ran on hydrogen.
Wow.
Didn't really work out for a variety of reasons, but he tried it.
Yeah.
Many people don't realize that Carroll Shelby made two turbine-powered Indy cars. They never competed at Indy because they didn't exactly pass tech inspection, but he had two of them, and those cars exist and they're in private collections.
Whoa.
But Carroll was always about innovation. We had him on film talking about electric. I wasn't sure whether that was going to work or not, but he would have us try it, and we do. We did. We know what the pluses and minuses are. When it's ready, I think we'll do something there. But right now, there's a lot going on with hybrids, and so we're looking at those kind of things. But Carroll Shelby was always about innovation, and our team continues to look at those things today, and not just celebrate the past, but to clearly look to the future. And if you look at the last several weeks, you can see we're hard on the gas, working on the future.
Yeah, this is a perfect transition. Let's talk about what you guys have been unveiling. Last week at Barrett Jackson, it was with the Shelby GT. I got the Shelby GT 350 TA. TA's in Trans Am, the Trans Am series, right?
Correct. So I'm sure many people on this were wondering why we would call it a Trans Am, because that was kind of a Pontiac that everybody knew. So let's just deal with the elephant in the room right now. Long before there was a Firebird, Shelby was racing Trans Am in 1966. So they actually helped win the championship with Mustang with a Shelby team that put them ahead, and won the first Trans Am championship with a Mustang driven by Jerry Titus, and basically mechanically worked on by Shelby American. So we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of Trans Am. Aaron Caldwell at Trans Am, he's been very, very helpful in working with us with this program. We started working with him over a year ago, and with our team partners at Turnkey Automotive, we're developing a Trans Am race car right now that we actually started working on last year, and so we'll be working on that. But we're really, in the meantime, we came out with the GT350R, and then also the GT350 TA, which is, for the Trans Am. So that car is super rich in content. Starts as a Mustang GT, but has all kinds of stuff, everything from horsepower to cooling to aerodynamics, a completely new, different hood, things that are clearly different than the 350R we did last year, different hood and fenders and wheels and tires and brakes. And, you don't see Alcon brakes, as an example, very often on street cars, because they're typically a race car brake. This car has Alcon brakes on all four corners, and they're a lot of the stuff that is in that braking system will carry over to the Trans Am race car that we develop. That and coilover suspension and, adjustable caster camber plates, and, everything from that to things that people don't always see, is like, hardened wheel studs and half shafts are rated for well over 1,000 horses, and all the things that really go into the support system that you need to support, 830 plus horsepower. So
is this a car that the average consumer can buy, or you're going to build a limited number of these, or just a handful of these? How many of these are going to be produced?
So that's a great question. We did 36 of the GT350Rs this last year. We're going to come to the table this year with 70 of these. So these are very exclusive cars. They're expensive cars, but they're very exclusive. So the best way to do, if you want one, is to contact Shelby American, and we have a list that we're going through. And obviously, we've got more people right now on the list than we have cars. So that's a great problem to have. I want to just always give the same people. We want people that are new in the industry, new in the Shelby family. We want to bring in, some of the younger people, but we also don't forget what got us here.
Yeah.
So we have some very important VIP clients that obviously we like to work with too. So, that particular one is very limited. We have many others that we've just announced that are not near as limited, but, more accessible. This car is, with the car, included, your investment's going to be almost $220,000. But with that, it's also the only car that's available with the carbon fiber tub that's put in place, instead of where the carpeting and insulation and those kind of things were. So it's really It's badass looking, I can tell you that. But there's carbon fiber everywhere on this car, and a lot of ghost graphics. So you see GT350 TA, and it's in the tail panel, and a 60th anniversary of Trans Am. But you have to really look for it, like it's a ghost image, and it's paint. It's not just a decal. You look, there's a big Shelby emblem on the hood. But if you just glance at it, you don't see it. When you look at it, you're like, wow, this insert is not only carbon fiber, but it's got this badass emblem in it that's paint.
Yeah.
Clear coated over it. You don't even feel it with your hands. So there's a lot of stuff in this car that's very, very functional. And, tied to history, but tied to current, Peter Brock, who is the designer of the Daytona Coupe, body that helped beat Ferrari for Shelby American in 1965 and win the world championship in the FIA class. That body shape was designed by Peter Brock. Peter actually helped with some of the early Corvettes before that.
Yeah.
Since then, Peter's been designing all kinds of things, but we run some ideas past Peter.
Do you really? Oh, I love that.
Vegas, right?
Yeah, yeah. His shop's in Henderson. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's an incredible shop, incredible guy. And I can tell you that one of the things that Peter was most impressed with like the latest edition Super Snake that we showed to him before we debuted that in 2024 on the latest body style, he goes, this car not only looks badass, but the stuff that you guys are doing is functional. He really liked the functionality of the design work that Vince LaViolette, works with us and so forth, and is our chief designer and vice president of operations and so forth. We wear a lot of hats here, but we're car people running a car company. He and I both drive on the track. We know what these cars are like. We test them on the track before anybody gets their hands on them. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what's cool is, Gary, you're awesome. Your whole team is awesome. And there's so much car history here in Las Vegas with Peter Brock, the Shelby Heritage Center that you guys have. And you mentioned Vince. Vince is awesome. I was there a couple months ago. You had the Super Snake drifting Mustang that you guys unveiled during SEMA. And I went down to do a video for my little car show that I have. And next thing you know, I'm in the car with Vince in the parking lot at Shelby, drifting around, and a crowd gathers. And it was just awesome. It was an awesome moment for me. So you guys are car people, and you go down to the museum, you can tour cars, put your hands on cars. It's cool stuff. Gary, I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with me. We've done, like I said, many segments before on TV, but the first time to go long form with you, and that was a treat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all, man. We got the new GT350 convertible. We got the Super Snake R. We got a lot of stuff going on at Shelby, so come out and see us.
I'll be there tomorrow.
All right. Sounds great.